My hair has turned grey, my beard has grown long, my heart overflows with stories and songs. I rest under this tree where I've always sat, a century of memories hide under my hat. I recall when I first heard the gospel of Christ, it sounded like the old ways of blood sacrifice. When the priest broke bread and poured wine for the blood, memories of mysteries filled me like a flood. At my age I forget, but I recall when I am able I was armour-bearer for Arthur's round table. When the priest called on Gabriel, herald of God's palace, I remembered the shining ones, the coming of the chalice. I recalled when he prayed for protection from the Lord, when the land was guarded by Arthur's sword. Like the men and women they call saints, Arthur fanned a flame that had grown faint. When the priest said prayers for the people's pain, I prayed for the Grail to heal us again. His prayer for the white Christ to send them a sign took me back to the day we saw the divine. Like apostles touched by tongues of fire, the round table were granted their greatest desire. And a shining one said, I come to you, dressed in the robes of Joseph the Jew, who planted here the holy thorn, and the chalice, talisman of the twice-born, once from virgin mother's womb, and once again from garden tomb. I've come to show you, make it clear, the legends of your land are here. By here he meant the wine and bread carried in by angels overhead. And we saw him, one moment newborn, the next a man in crown of thorns. A girl, a goddess, stood beside, holding the spear that pierced his side. In that moment the mystery made sense. I knew what these signs and symbols meant. This procession had passed by before in fairy tale and folklore. I learned the story in my youth, and suddenly I saw the truth in the tales of wounded warrior Bran, sacrificed to safeguard the land. And where his spear and chalice were seen, barren wastelands grew fresh and green. This was what the mystery meant, I knew. White Christ was a wounded healer too. To an innocent lad the Grail came. Galahad, Summerhawk, was his name, and never more did we see his face. He safeguards the secret in some sacred place. It came flooding back when the priest broke bread, and I knew the old ways were not dead. In their bread and wine, their candles and prayer, are the earth and water, the fire and air. We call one God by two names, the language different, the meaning the same. I've been many things on my way to old age. I've been called both soldier and sage. And now I know the fire in Arthur's heart was the same flame that set the saints apart. For peace, for the people he lived and died, as did Cuthbert, Columba, Hilda and Bride. There is an old tale, a chapel of green, deep in the woods in the shadow of trees. Outside wild birds sang a sweet song, while a tiny stream trickled on stone. Inside the door a deep green light poured on the altar the cup of Christ. Lifeblood poured out, covenant sealed. All who looked on the cup were healed. Priests of the new faith are penitent and patient for his healing to be poured out on our nation. Our old stories live on in the songs they sing. He is the wounded healer. He is the Fisher King.